Good evening. Welcome to QUT Web News.
Good evening.
Daniel Morcombe's killer will stay in jail. The Court of Appeal this afternoon dismissed Brett Cowan's appeal of his murder conviction. A sentencing appeal was also thrown out, meaning the case is effectively over.
Court of Appeal President Margaret McMurdo took just 3 minutes to announce the two-judge panel's decision. Bruce Morcombe says it's the end of another chapter in the harrowing saga.
It came so quickly, so swiftly, and it is relief. But who knows, it may not be the end. We'll wait and see.
Brett Peter Cowan had asked for an overturning of his conviction or a retrial. His lawyers questioned the legitimacy of the police operation after an elaborate ruse tricked Cowan into confessing and leading police to the crime scene. In dismissing the appeal against the conviction, one of the presiding judges, Justice Hugh Fraser, wrote, "I agree with the President's conclusion that the appellant did not exercise his right to silence, but instead spoke freely to police." The Newman government's Attorney General had appealed the conditions of Cowan's sentence. That too was dismissed by the Court of Appeal, ruling the trial decision was sufficient. The challenge has been marred in controversy. Chief Justice Tim Carmody removed himself from the panel and has been on sick leave ever since. He says medication for back pain would prove to be a deterrent to his judicial duties and will be reviewed next month. Mr. Cowan will be eligible for parole in 2031. Josh Bristow, QUT News.
Deadly airbags have forced the world's largest ever car recall. In Australia, more than 500,000 vehicles have already been recalled.
The fault is horrific. Metal shards fly out of the inflated bag, straight at the people inside. In the US, 6 people have died, and more than 100 have been injured. So far, there have been no injuries or deaths here, but the RSEQ is worried.
This is a very rapidly evolving issue, so a lot of the manufacturers may not know that they actually have an issue.
Overnight, the airbag's manufacturer, Ekka, admitted the default was far more widespread than they initially said. Media reports have been scathing.
Their airbags are defective.
The worst recall situation ever.
More than 33 million vehicles.
Many Takata airbags are defective.
Worldwide, 53 million cars have now been recalled. The airbag issue isn't new, with recalls starting back in 2008. But since Takata's admission of further faults, Toyota has recalled almost 200,000 additional cars in Australia. These are the car manufacturers currently affected. They include Toyota, Nissan and Honda. You'll find a full list of which models at QUTnews.com. Authorities say it's likely more makes and models will be added to the recall.
Get onto your dealer and to get that car checked out or get on the Australian website, but certainly I'd be getting it sorted out fairly quickly.
The Australian government recall website crashed today due to a flood of interest. Melanie Williams, QUT News.
Queensland's Treasurer says the state is officially in an economic recession, laying the blame clearly at the opposition's feet. But he's come under fire from the LNP and the business community.
Breaking the news to Parliament this morning, the Treasurer said the state hadn't experienced any economic growth over the last 2 quarters. He said Queensland had only experienced 2 previous recessions in 1991 and 2009.
Mr Speaker, it troubles me to advise the House today we had a 3rd occasion in Queensland.
Despite this, he said he was positive about the upcoming state budget.
But Mr Speaker, we won't let this data define Queensland, because there is cause for optimism.
But the business community has hit back, saying it doesn't trust the Treasurer's claims.
The Treasurer has emphasised that he wishes to be positive in relation to the Queensland economy, yet in our view is talking the economy down through saying that we are in recession when it remains to be seen whether or not that is the case.
He says the Treasurer should wait to see the official numbers.
The Chamber's view is that the Australian Bureau of Statistics is the official umpire on whether or not the Queensland economy is in recession. Our view is that Queensland Treasury numbers typically are used for political purposes.
And embattled independent Billy Gordon broke his silence, delivering his maiden speech. He paid tribute to his Indigenous heritage and addressed his critics, saying they'd painted him as a person that he's not. Safi Kerigi, QUT News.
He may be at the Vatican, but Cardinal George Pell is certainly feeling the heat coming from the Royal Commission into Child Abuse. Today, he released a statement denying all accusations levelled against him.
Cardinal Pell denies saying, "Don't be so ridiculous," to a small boy who told him priests were abusing children. He's also denied being involved in moving a notorious sex offender, Gerald Ridsdale, to a new parish to avoid prosecution. In his statement, Cardinal Pell said he had the deepest sympathy for the victims of abuse, their families and the community for what they had suffered. And he described the crimes committed against him by priests and brothers as profoundly evil and completely repugnant to him. The former Sydney Archbishop has been mentioned at the Commission by several witnesses who say he knew, or at the least might have known, about the widespread abuse in Ballarat while he was a senior priest there in the 1970s. Tegan Atkins, QUT News.
If you live in Brisbane, recycling what you no longer want has never been easier. And a brand new drive-through and drop-off station allows you to do it for free.
A snip of the scissors and Brisbane residents can now recycle on the go. This new drive-through recycling station in Chandler is the second of 4 planned centres to be opened. The Lord Mayor says the new centres are building on Brisbane's reputation as a sustainable city.
It's all about making sure that we give people that opportunity, an easy opportunity to undertake their waste reduction.
Brisbane has seen a 15% per capita reduction of the amount of waste going to landfill in the past 5 years. Besides being free, the drive-through centre handles everything from white goods to batteries and gas cylinders, and it's clear and simple where to drop it off. While recycling white goods like these has become commonplace, a new recycling initiative with a difference is helping the less fortunate dress for success. Ties, belts, shoes and suits are all being donated to help men look the part for job interviews. The initiative, called Suit of Change, aims to help change people's paths and get them employed.
When someone has a job and they get a job, they feel like they belong somewhere, and it's real important.
This man donated his wedding suit.
Pretty happily married, so I thought, might as well make someone else happy and own it.
More than 100 suits have been donated already, with more set to come over the next few days. Max Schockert, QUT News.
The Ekka is still 78 sleeps away, but today Brisbane school children were shown exactly what it's all about. More than 700 students visited Rural Discovery Day to learn all about life in the country.
Bridging the gap between city and country, Rural Discovery Day at the RNA Showgrounds teaches kids all about farming life. Ekka organisers say agriculture is what it's all about.
In an urbanising world, I guess there's potential for the divide between city and country to grow bigger and bigger, and we see that at the Ekka and the RNA, it's our role to make sure that that doesn't happen.
They say kids need to be better educated about where food comes from.
And you see the studies that show that there's a certain percentage of kids who think milk comes from a carton in the supermarket and yoghurt grows on trees. And
students learnt how to make horseshoes, shear sheep and milk cows. But it wasn't easy for everyone.
I just couldn't really get the milk out of it.
Students from the Nudgee College Cattle Club were also getting hands-on.
I'm originally from the city, so it's fun to learn about all this agricultural stuff.
Now in its 11th year, today's Rural Discovery Day has given these children a taste of what the Ekka is all about. And for those who missed out, well, they'll just have to wait for the Ekka in August to get up close and personal with some furry friends. Anna Groan, QUT News.
The Parramatta Eels have been slapped with a huge fine for salary cap breaches. And in AFL, Carlton will have to overcome some poor form to beat an old rival.
The NRL has been investigating the Parramatta Eels over salary cap breaches from last year. Today, it delivered the blow. A $525,000 fine. It couldn't come at a worse time for the club. To AFL and Carlton have a big challenge ahead. They face Geelong tomorrow night at Etihad Stadium. The Cats have won all 13 of their matches against the Blues at the venue.
Well, what can I say about the record? I mean, you've said it's 13. It's zipped out at 13, you said, didn't you? Well, that's 13. I mean, I can't change it.
Adding to the pressure, Geelong's star forward Tom Hawkins returns from injury on Saturday. Carlton have recorded only one win this season. Their crowd numbers have dropped, and that's costing the club thousands of dollars. Daniel Winters, QUT News.
Time now for a look at the weather. As you can see behind me, Brisbane once again woke to a heavy blanket of fog, stretching all the way to the bay. but it didn't stop some keen photographers taking in the view. Temperatures around the southeast today, Brisbane reached 25. It was warmest on the sunny coast, 28 degrees. The Gold Coast peaked at 24, and Ipswich dropped to 13 overnight. Around the nation tomorrow, and Sydney will be wet and windy, 17 the top. A shower or two for Canberra, 15 the max in Melbourne. Hobart will drop to 4 degrees overnight. Partly cloudy in Adelaide and Perth, and Darwin will be mostly sunny, 32. The forecast for Queensland tomorrow, a cooler 24 in Mount Isa, 29 in Cairns. An early shower with 30 the top for Townsville. 25 in Rocky, morning showers for Bundaberg, and 22 the top in Longreach. The 3-day outlook for Brisbane, Friday 22 and some early showers, and those showers could continue through until Sunday. That brings you up to date with the weather.
And that's all the news we have for now.
We'll be back tomorrow with more QUT news. Goodbye.
Goodbye.